Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh Ji. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Joti, and I am a news reporter, born and raised here in New Jersey, and I am one of Guneet Banji's students. So I grew up about an hour and a half, 2 hours away from here with no other kids who looked like me or practiced their faith like me. But Gur Kipa de Naal, we had Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj's Sarup at home. And I learned how to do Keertan, starting with Mool Mantra Jap, probably before I could form full sentences, all thanks to my Darji, my dad's dad. He would spend hours in Maharaj's Darbar, encourage my dad to start Ransabai Keertans here when there weren't many of us in New Jersey, and is credited with laying the groundwork for Ambala Smagam, which still happens to this day. Then when I was 5, Darji passed away unexpectedly, and I felt like my world shattered. There was a Paat, Keertan at home, and my Vaddi Mummy, my dad's mom, she told me that I should do Keertan at his funeral and to be strong, right? And Edina tera avastha vaddu. I was 5. I didn't know what an avastha was at that point, but there I was on stage with my Mool Mantra Jap that he taught me, the foundation. And we would have a Ransabai every year at my home in memory of him, me with my Mool Mantra Jap, and all these people at my house, young boys my age with their fancy tals, and all these people singing shabads that I just felt like I couldn't keep up with. I didn't know how to be strong, so instead I was enraptured in sadness and I chose anger, and I thought, well, who's going to teach me Keertan now? What I would do to just hear him sing out one more time, Kinkariya Anup Vajay Jogya Matvaro Re. And much like this Bani teaches us, unfortunately, I did lose my way, turned my back on truth, and somehow, Gur Kipa de Naal, finding my way back decades later as an adult. I probably wouldn't be here today if it weren't for the grace of the divine. At a Simran program, closing my eyes, listening to the sound of my voice, and remembering Akal Purkh Waheguru, suddenly, as an adult, everything just started to snap into place for me. And at that program, I was given a recording of Katha Keertan and Simran that started with Prabh Ji, Tu Mere Pran Dare. And before that, I never really contemplated like what it was that I was singing, what it was that I was hearing. But those words, we don't talk about this enough in our culture and mental health. Those words, they really resonated when I was in such a dark place. And I literally felt like in that moment, breath by breath, Prabh Ji was keeping me alive. And that would begin a 5-year journey, living abroad, doing bhakti, and then it was time to come home. So I took a job with a local TV station here in New Jersey, some of you might know about. And it was really a culture shock for me after my mind experienced only Sangat, Simran, and Seva for so long while I was abroad for about 5-ish years. And I was trying to maintain what I learned, but I kept falling flat on my face in Maya's dish. And there are traps that we know, that we all kind of stumble through. And one night I was folding laundry and I was listening to Keertan, and I heard someone singing, Jaten Bohote मैं कर रही हो मिटियो ना मन को मान. So I asked my dad, who is this singing? And I found my Keertan teacher. What happens with the shabads that she teaches me, it is wild. If you don't think that Waheguru talks to each and every one of us, just wait until you hear what happened next. Remember, she doesn't know me, she doesn't know my journey, and the first shabad that she decides to teach me, Prabh Ji, Tu Mere Pran Dare. So I perform it at a couple different programs, then I try to do a variation that somebody else taught me at a program after only practicing with my tabla app. And when I tell you that this is the most embarrassed I've ever been in my life, I literally, I wanted to drop out of Keertan class. Don't just practice with the app. So I get home and I'm on the treadmill. My dad is watching Katha on TV, and the Hukamnama ends up being the next Shabad that Benji was teaching me. Tere kavan gun kahe kawa. And I sit there, I'm like, Gaava? My heart was broken. I was so embarrassed. I was like, Nani Gana. And I text Benji, literally crying about all that negative chatter in my mind, about not being good enough, not feeling like I belong and wanting to quit, then seeing this Hukamnama. And she replies to my text message, you're doing wonderful. And Waheguruji wants you to do Keertan. That's why he made you start the lessons and learn more. And what I respected so much about my teacher's response was that it was never about her. She didn't even say lessons with me. It was all about, this is why Waheguru brought you here. A teacher here in Kaljug should be connecting you to our eternal teacher, Guru Granth Sahib, and then lead us to our ultimate teacher, right? Waheguru. And sitting in front of Maharaj, I felt like maybe this is what Darji was feeling all those years ago. As I cried out, मैं होता नहीं जिस पे करो बेनंती मेरा दुख सुख तुझे ही पास है. The holder of our joy and our pain. Then Benji decides, okay, I'm going to teach you Asa Devar. And I'm like, I do not have this Bani Kant. And she smiles that smile that she does. And part of the reason I moved home was to spend time with my Nani ji, my mom's mom, the only living grandparent that I have left after my Nana ji passed away while I was abroad. And it was such a lovely exercise for me to visit with my Nani ji and read this Bani with her and have her listen as I played it on the Vajja. Har prem bani man maariya haniya le haniya Ram Rajay. The more I read it, the more realizations that I made, and the more that I fell in love with what Akal Purakh was trying to teach me. And then my sister gets engaged, and Dad decides, we're going to do an Asa Devar Kirtan program at our house for their ardas. And all this Sangat is at our house. And the boys with their fancy tals, and everyone with their shabads that now I love to hear, and Guru Kirpa de Naal I can keep up with. And I sit in front of the Vajja, starting with my Mool Mantra Jap, and eventually making my way to Hum Murakh Mugad Saranagati. What a Murakh. What a fool I was to turn my back on these teachings. And I can go on about how the next Shabad she taught me related directly to my life, how Beant Bani is. And then the next one during such a devastating time in my life when I finally learned through Bani how to be strong. And this strength that has nothing to do with me and everything to do with remembering our Creator, understanding these teachings that have been laid out for us and applying them. And I'm no one special. These teachings are for all of us. So I implore you to not only listen as Benji takes the stage, but to reflect on all of the Bani that you heard this weekend and apply it. I promise you, if you do, you will never lose your way. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Sat Sri Akal.